Yeah? Good. Are you up for this?
Yes, go, man.
I'm really excited about this. We've been doing this series called I Declare War, and it's about changing ourselves. It's not war on Poland or war on terror or war on Audi, as I might like it. It's a war on ourselves, our attitudes, our actions, our behaviors that we have that are self-defeating. And we all do stuff, don't we? And we're like, why did I do that? Where did that even come from? And then you look back and you're like, I can't believe I just said that. Or I can't believe I just did that. Why do I say these things? Why do I do these things? Why do I behave this way? And we want to learn how to have victories over ourselves. I find that I'm so often my worst enemy. So the first week we were talking about our battle with our thoughts and the way that we think. Last week, Ben Jack shared an amazing talk about the battle with our words. And if you weren't here, you can catch it up either online on our website, on YouTube, or it's right there in the app. And you can catch that up anytime you want. And I would really recommend that you listen to it because it was deep, it was funny, it was really practical. And I think it was just really helpful. And then this week, I want to talk about I declare war on my actions. Because if you think something and you say something, but then you do something else, I mean, that makes us hypocrites, right? In the book of James, he says that faith without works is dead, that we have to believe certain things, we say certain things, but we also have to follow it up with action so that our faith can be alive. And that's what we want. We want living, vibrant, authentic, honest faith. And I also think that there's so many people who have turned their back on church for this exact reason. That they hear Christians say one thing, but then when they actually get to know them and they see their lives, it tells a completely different story. Or maybe you're even here and you've been in a church where as long as you say the right stuff, you can pretty much do what you like. It doesn't really matter. And there's this lack of integrity. That's the word for it, isn't it? It's integrity. And I think that this is something that we all struggle with, if we're honest. This is something that we all do. We know we want to be like it. I think sometimes I'm a bit like oil and vinegar. You know, life shakes me up and I have it all together and I'm living a certain way, but then the more I'm comfortable, I kind of separate again and my beliefs go one way and my actions start to go another. Yeah. And I don't want to be like that. I don't want to live my life like that. I want to live an authentic faith with integrity where my beliefs, my thoughts, and then my actions are just all in line with one another. Good, man. And so I want to talk about this today, and we're going to just jump straight into the Bible. And if you've got a Bible, turn to 1 Thessalonians 5. You can follow along in the app. All of the notes are in there. You just go to front page, you just click on sermons, and you click on notes. You can follow along right there in the app. If you've got a Bible, you can get it out. 1 Thessalonians 5, and this is going to be the main passage that we're looking at today. And it says this. It says, you are sons of light, daughters of day. I love that. You're sons of light, you're daughters of day. If you're here, you're a follower of Jesus, you don't need to wonder who God says you are. He says it right here. He says, you're a son of light, you're a daughter of day. Yeah. And what that is to say is that you're not your shame. Yeah. You're not your past. You're not your guilt, you're not your history, you're not your backlog, you're not your story, you're not your condition. You're not your Enneagram test. You're not that mistake that you made the other day. You're not your race. You're not your personality. You're not your sickness. What you are is a son or a daughter of light. Yeah, come on. You are who God says you are. I think that so often we spend our lives getting lost in these other kind of identities, and we find ourselves stuck in these downward spirals. Whereas when you understand that you are who God says you are, it flips the script, it turns the game upside down, and you can say, actually, I can live a different way because I recognize that's not even who I am. Yeah. I am a son of light. Good, I am a daughter of day. Yeah. And really all I want to talk to you about today is it comes out of this. It's this simple, that your daily activity should flow from your new identity. Yeah, good, that the way that we live our lives should be a reflection of who we are and not who we're not. Yeah. That makes sense? And so So I want to get practical today because I think that we know this stuff. I think if you've been in church for 5 minutes, someone's told you you're a child of God. They've told you that you're wonderfully made. I think we know this stuff. And yet the reality is, like, it doesn't play out. And I don't know why that is. It could be something to do with courage. It could be something to do with consistency. But we find ourselves falling short. And so I don't want to just tell you who you are. I want to give you some scaffolding this morning. I want to give you some really practical tools, some practical ideas that I think are going to help you to really put this into practice. And these are mostly taken from the book that we've been reading, I Declare War by Levi Lusko. He's got so many in there. I've grabbed like a few of his. I've added another one of mine because I thought I had a good one as well. But if you want more, if this is something that helps you, if you're sitting here and you're honestly like, I battle with this. I do. I find my life, my actions, and my beliefs going in different directions. Then do get his book, because it's really practical and it's really helpful. But I'm gonna breeze through these today. I'm just gonna go through the list, and there's 4 patterns, 4 behaviors, 4 actions that I think can really help us today to really become more and more of who we are and less of who we're not. And so if you're taking notes, write this down. The first thing I want you to learn is to prioritize your pregame. Prioritize your pregame. If you like football, I love football. I support Forest. They're in the championship, so I don't love it that much. But I love it a little bit. And I've been following this story. There's a coach called Marcelo Bielsa, who's the coach of Leeds. And he was in the news recently because he sent someone to spy on another football team, and he got caught like trying to get under their fence to get in and watch the other team training before the match. And all the sports pundits have different opinions about this. Some are like, it's an outrage, this is so immoral. He's breaking in, he's breaking all the rules. This goes against everything that we believe in as a sport. And others are like, well, it's not really that bad, is it? It's just watching you practice. Like, what's he going to learn that he doesn't already know? It's like, it's not really much of a big deal. There's this big debate. And the FA are involved, and they're talking about whether he's going to get fined money. And so his response was to organize this huge press conference. And he gathered everyone, and he got like a whiteboard, and he just started to teach them everything that he does to prepare for a game. And his point was really, really simple. It was that pre-game matters. He said that you win or you lose the football match based on what you do before you even turn up. That what happens before the game will define the result of the game. He's like, it's all about preparation. Everything in football is about preparation. Preparation matters. And I think that we live in a culture where we don't like this. We don't like preparation. You know, I want to have the Instagram post without having to have the backstory. I don't want to do the hard work that gets me there. I want that instant success. I want that moment right now. I don't want to put in the work. I don't want to put in the pregame. I don't want to prepare. I don't want to wait. I need it today. And culture tells us that you can have it today, but you can't. You have to prioritize your pregame. I was reading this week a story about a prophet called Elisha. And he meets this woman. This woman is so poor that her children have been taken away from her. They've been literally sold into slavery to pay her debts. And Elisha's like, I want to help you. How can I help you? What do you have? And she says, well, I've just got a tiny bit of oil. So what he says to her is, I want you to go from here. I want you to go to all of your friends' houses. I want you to go to all of your neighbors' houses. I want you to collect all of the jars that you can. And then I will fill them with oil. And what he essentially says to her is, I'm going to do a miracle, but before you can have your miracle, you have to prepare. You know, so many of us, we want God to break through. We're desperate for him to do something, and he is saying, I will not break through, I will not do that miracle until you prepare. Wow. Your pregame matters. You have to get ready for what he's about to do. Maybe you want to change your action. Maybe you want to change your behaviors. I feel like God is saying to you today, I'm not going to just change them for you. You need to change your pregame. You need to start to prepare differently. This is all the way through the Bible. You see this, like David and Goliath. David steps in front of Goliath and he takes him out. But if you go before Goliath, there was lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Yeah. And he practices with smaller objects, smaller targets, and he builds up to the great bear. You look at Jesus. Jesus Last night before he's going to go on the cross, what's he doing? He's praying all night. I wouldn't tell him to do that. I'd be like, mate, you're going to have a really bad day tomorrow. 9 o'clock's your bedtime tonight. No, he's like, I'm going to stay up all night because I need something today. I need something from God, for what he is about to do in my life. He's like, I need to prepare because my actions are going to have to represent something greater than it's just going to come from me. He prioritized a pregame because he knew that God wanted to do something more. Why would you turn up at work and have not had any preparation for the day? Why would you go to that meeting and not have read a verse and got something inside of you before you got there? I mean, you brush your teeth, hopefully. You did your hair, you got your body ready, but have you got your spirit ready for the actions that are required of you today? How's your pregame? Do you just rock up? Just expected? You find yourself in situations and you're there just like, Lord help me, I'm lost, I don't know what's happening, when actually what you needed to do was start earlier. To begin with some preparation before you even got there. You know, there's not that much that we say to our teams that they have to do here. But one thing we do say is you have to get here early. Because we start with our pre-game by prayer. We'll pray before we do anything else on a Sunday morning. If we don't set up on time, I'm not as bothered about that as I am that we got our pre-game right. We began by praying because I know that we need to be doing something which is going to be greater than what's going to come out of myself. You don't need something good from me today. You need something good from God. And that requires me to have prepared in a different kind of way. You need me to have a pregame. Just as the people surrounding your life need you to have a strong pregame. Prioritize your pregame. I don't know what this looks like. Maybe this looks like prayer. Something that this looks like for me, it's my journal. This is my journal. This goes everywhere with me. I find that I write in a different way than I talk. This really helps me. There's some science that says that if you spend 5 minutes once a week writing down 5 things you're grateful for, it will change your whole perception of the rest of the week. Just five things once a week can entirely change your outlook on your life. And it's because you get so wrapped up in the worries, you get so wrapped up in the frustrations, and just taking control and saying, do you know what, I'm gonna look at what God has done. I'm gonna list the things that he's put around me. I'm gonna list the good. It just changes the way that you see everything else. And then your actions follow suit. So you act differently because you've chosen to prepare differently. This is how I do it. Another thing might be for you that you need a pre-game of rest. I'm going to be honest with some of you, I know you need a better pre-game of rest. Because you can't turn up because you're walking around half asleep the whole time. You need a pre-game of rest. Bill Johnson says, public power always comes from private piety. Public power always comes from private piety. Your prayer and your preparation will become your platform for what God wants to do today. He's not going to do anything great for you if you haven't prepared first. He's waiting for it. So your first habit I want you to learn is to prioritize your pregame. Second habit, change your posture, change your behavior. You change your posture, you change your behavior. What do I mean by posture? I mean exactly what your mum used to tell you when you were growing up. Stand straight, head up, shoulders back. I don't know, my mum would go on again and again and again, Ben, stand up straight, Ben, sit up straight, stand up straight. And I always thought, so it doesn't matter at all. But actually, it matters far more than you think. Your posture dramatically affects your behavior. If you were to stand, I remember when I was a teenager, I don't know if you're like this, and I would hang out outside M&Dubs, which was like our shop, on like almost every night, if I'm honest. I'd just hang outside M&Dubs, and I'd arrive, and there'd always be like a big crowd of teenagers, and it was pretty intimidating because back when I was growing up, they were all like getting drunk and everything, and so I'd be like, oh, okay, like I need to turn up. And so I walked with like this kind of, that kind of teenage bop. You're like,
oh no!
And I walked like that, not just because I needed to convince myself that I was confident, because I didn't feel confident. And do you know what happened? I started to be confident because I tricked myself into being. I know it's sad. Don't laugh at me like that. That's feeling the shame. But I'm not my shame because I'm a son of light. Hey. But they say if you stand in the power pose, you heard this? You stand in the power pose. Weird, right? But you start to feel more confident. The way that you stand reflects something that's happening inside of you. And at the same time, if you change the way that you behave on the outside, you can actually change what's happening on the inside as well. Similarly, if you were to stand, like, just kind of hunch your shoulders over, get into like what's the most stress-feeling pose for you. If you were just like that, like, oh, stress, like if you tense your shoulders and you tense up. They say if you sit like that for 15 minutes, they can take a saliva test and your stress hormone will have gone up just from the way that you sat stressfully. You then start to make stress decisions because of a way that you're holding your body. It's crazy, isn't it? Your posture affects your behavior. Who knew? I've got a friend and he's a giggle doctor. Like, his job is to go into hospitals and make kids smile. That's his job. He gets paid to make kids smile because the reason is that when you smile, it actually releases hormones in you which help you to heal. You heal faster. It numbs pain better when you smile. It also gives you the same buzz as the runner's buzz. You know, if you do a long run and you start to buzz at the end of it, the same chemicals come out when you smile. Smile at me. Just try. Just give me a smile. Don't you feel a little bit better already? You look better. And you'll find that when you change your posture, when you change the way that you sit, when you change the way that you act, it actually then has this knock-on effect. It changes the way that you behave. And what you can do is you can be in a situation where you're stressed. You can be in a situation when you're frustrated, and you can literally just step back and say, is this how I want to be? Yeah. Is this what a child of light would be doing? Is this resembling a daughter of the day, or am I walking asleep? Am I walking through the night? And then you can just choose to change the way that you're standing, the way that you're smiling. Change your posture, change your behavior. If you read the Psalms, what's it say time and time again? It says, raise your head to the Lord. It doesn't say you can just stand and worship hunched over, hands in your pocket. It says, raise your head. It says, lift your arms, even when you don't feel like it. In fact, I think that there's a power, there's a freedom that comes when you make a decision to change your body language. I believe that if you change your posture, it will change your encounter with God. Change your worship. You'll find that you have a dramatically different experience just because you changed your body. Your posture affects your behavior. And maybe you're even sitting here right now, and you're like, what is this guy talking about? Change of, are you for real? Are you telling me that when I'm in a meeting and I feel like a little bit awkward, I should do the power pose? Is that really what we're talking? Like, that's so fake, isn't it? I mean, it sounds fake, and if you're sitting and you're honestly feeling that, I get you. I'm with you. I understand that. I think that it's good to want to be authentic. I really do. I think that is important. And what I'm not talking about is try and be something you're not. That's not what I'm talking about at all. What I'm talking about is recognize who you actually are and put things in place to help to train yourself to become more and more of who you really are and less of who you're not. This isn't about being fake. This is about faith. This is saying, do you know what? I don't feel like this today. I don't feel like I want to be like this, but I need to turn up as a son of the day. I need to turn up as somebody who's going to change the room. I need to turn up understanding that God has called me into this position, into this place. God has called me to be around these people. So I need to do something different. And if just standing slightly differently helps me to help them, I'm going to do that. If just smiling a little bit more helps me to bring a little bit more love and truth into this world, I'm going to smile till they think I'm an idiot. Because I want to do everything that I have at my disposal to make a difference in people's lives. You with me? Change your posture. Point number 3. If you want to grow fast. If you want to grow faster, fast more. I think that we don't understand fasting at all. I think I spent most of my life not really understanding fasting. I tend to fast when I'm desperate for something. You know, like the bank balance is low and I know that I've either got to fast on purpose or I'm going to fast by accident later. So I decide I'm going to just fast, or or I really want to have an encounter with God, and so I stop eating and I fast. And there is a spiritual thing that is really, really present in fasting. I don't want to say that there isn't. But I think that there's something even more powerful that happens when we fast. What we do is we deny ourselves, and then we gain control of ourselves. Fasting helps us to win the battle with ourselves. You know, when you read the early Christian manuscripts, there's this book called the Didache, and it's written like 30 years after Jesus, and it describes how the early church lived their life. And it says these things like, I might get this slightly wrong, but it's like, don't fast on Mondays and Fridays like the hypocrites. Fast on Tuesdays and Thursdays like Christians. And I'm like, sure, because obviously a hypocrite would fast on a Monday and a Friday. Like, doesn't make any sense to me. But the point of it was, they would fast 2 days a week. Every week they would fast 2 days a week. And then I was like, well, this can't be as simple as I'm just going to do an intense fast until I encounter God. This has become a rhythm of their life. They have a pattern, a behavior of self-denial. You know, we live in a culture which says if you want it, get it. If this makes you happy, you take it. It doesn't hurt anybody. Just have more. And I don't know what your biggest battles are. Maybe they're battles of stuff that you just want. Desires, hungers. Maybe that's the battle that you keep losing. Maybe your biggest battles are battles against emotion and pain. Maybe they're against pride. Maybe they're against positions. Maybe they're against the people who you live around, and you find yourself behaving the wrong way again and again and again. It's because we can't control ourselves. Because when culture tells us we can have what we want when we want it, it is not good for us. Yeah. And we're out of control. We're flabby. We're weak. We can't control ourselves. So what we need to do is we need to learn self-denial. Because once we self-deny, we get control. And when we've got control, it gives us the ability to live our lives as we want to live our lives and not be a slave to our emotions, not be a slave to our desires. And it's going to like anything you want it to. It could be like, I'm just going to fast coffee this week. I'm going to fast meat. I'm going to fast Netflix. I'm going to fast something I really love and is good. You don't have to fast something because it's bad for you. You fast something because you care about it. And what you're saying is, I am not letting this thing that is good become something which becomes God over my life. Yeah. I need to recognize that there is nothing in my life above God, and so everything else can be denied. At times, intentionally, because I'm going to train myself to be godly. That's what it says in 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy 4 verse 7, it says, train yourself to be godly. What do you think it means to be godly? I think Philippians 2 tells us. It says Jesus was in nature God, but he didn't consider equality with God to be something to be grasped. Instead, he humbled himself. He left heaven. He deserved heaven. He had heaven. Heaven was everything he could want it to be, but he left heaven. He came down to earth as a man. He didn't then come down to be a king and rule it over to people. He came down humbly. He denied himself what was rightfully his, so that he could give to us what was not rightfully ours. When we deny ourselves, we get control. And then we can become sons of God. We can become daughters of Christ. We can start to live for other people in this way. Because we've learned the power of self-denial. If you want to change, fast. My fourth point. You need to choose your pack. You need to choose your pack. We've talked about this so much this last 12 months because it's just so important. You need to choose the people that you are around. You need to choose who you're spending your life with. It's been scientifically proven that you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And they've done so much research. This comes even down to your money. The 5 people you spend most of your time with, your finances will probably end up being the average of those 5 people. So if you want to earn more money, just get richer friends. That's what the science says. But equally, if you want to become spiritually stronger, if you want to become more disciplined, if you want to see God do things through you that you've never seen him do before, you need to be really aware of those 5 people that are around you. What if you could transform your walk with Jesus by just changing the people you spend the most time with? So, I want to be more like those people. I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to start hanging out with those people more and more and more, because I need those people around me who are going to encourage me. I need those people who are going to sharpen me. I need those kind of people who are going to be honest with me when there's something in me which isn't quite right. It doesn't quite add up. When I start saying one thing and doing something else, I need somebody who loves me enough to say, do you know what, Ben? That's not you. You're not behaving like you're supposed to behave. I know who you are. You're a son of God. You're a son of light. And this doesn't add up. I need that. I need people who are going to inspire me. I need people whose lives, and I can see them push because they want to see God do something amazing. And they're going to sacrifice. They're going to deny themselves so that God can have glory. I need to be around people like that. I need more and more of those. And I need to be committed to those people because I need it. And there are people who need me. People who I need to commit to because I know that they need me as well. This isn't a one-way street. This is how God works. I was talking to someone just this week. Amazing young guy. He's just had this horrific story. And I've been mentoring him a little bit. And he was saying that the thing that he struggles most is around people. Because he just doesn't believe that they would ever really care. He doesn't believe that they're ever not going to let him down, that it's just too vulnerable. And he's like, and I like myself, I'm an introvert. I can just sit in the bedroom and read books all day. And I was like, I get that. And I get that it can be scary. I get that it can be vulnerable. And I promise you that they will let you down. And I'm sorry for that. But I also know that God created you sticky. He created you for relationships. That when you get around the right people, your behaviors change. Your actions develop. That you will never see everything that God wants to do in your life if you stay on your own. I sometimes look at people's lives and the crazy stuff that they do, and I ask myself, I wonder if they'd been committed to a group of people, whether they would have still made those mistakes. Whether we still would have had these rifts. Whether we still would have had these problems. God does something in community. We've had a generation where we've believed that you hear God from getting away from everybody, and then you come back and tell everybody what God says. I don't think that's how it works. I think God speaks in community. That he speaks in the context of a family. He speaks in the context of a group. That conversation, that chewing, that dialogue, teasing out. And then you find something that comes again and again, and you find your spirit starts to soar. Because that's how God works. That's how he made us. We just today are launching our small groups. First time in February. So it's not an accident I'm talking about this. I'm talking about it because we believe it's important. We believe it's so important that we put in loads of time trying to organize some structures around this, trying to make it as easy as possible so that you don't have to go walk away and wonder how this works. We want everyone to have the opportunity to connect with people in a meaningful way. People you can meet with week by week. People who maybe have a WhatsApp group and you're sending each other verses. You're encouraging each other. You're praying for people. How was the doctor's appointment? How was the meeting at work? How did things go with that friend that you were sharing with? That you have a group of people who are cheering for you, who are egging you on, who are encouraging you. You have a group of people who have permission to talk into your life as well. You have a group of people where you get to train in your encouragement skills. You get to practice in how to build other people up. I mean, this in my walk has been one of the most important things. Friends that I've got for life have been friends that I've done small group with. And we do them in a really specific way. We say, like, maybe joining a small group for the rest of your life is a bit daunting. So what if you were to commit for 10 to 12 weeks? What if you're like, do you know what, I can focus for this time, and then I'll see where it goes from there. And there's all sorts, there's types where you can do fun stuff like Emma said earlier, there's a movies night one, there's a games one. If you like Dungeons and Dragons, board games and stuff like that, you can get into that, you can have fun. If you just want to dig deep in the Bible, there's Bible study ones, beer and Bible. Daniel's doing a beer and Bible one. There's all sorts. There's something for everybody. And it's just an amazing opportunity for you to find those people to place around you. Can everyone please stand up? Father God, I just want to pray that you will guard us from hypocrisy. That you will help us to put into action the beliefs that you have put in our deepest places. That we would live out of our identity that we have inside of you. That you'll give us strength. You'll give us courage. You'll change our posture when we need to change our posture. You'll change our pregame.
Yeah. Come on.
Lord, I pray that you help us to deny ourselves so that we can be a better use for you.
Yeah.
We can see your name glorified in this town, in this city, in this nation. Lord, we pray that you take away everything that isn't us inside of us so that the true us can shine bright for you. Amen. Just while your eyes are closed, I just want to ask you if there's